Hello and welcome to another episode of the Never a Straight Answer podcast, the podcast that aims to cover a wide range of topics from conspiracy theories to popular culture and news. I'm your host Gaz, and joining me in the studio, you know him, he's my co-host, Mr. Taylor.
Ooh, yeah, good evening everybody, welcome one and all.
Welcome back indeed, welcome back new listeners and repeat offenders, thank you for joining us for another episode. It's epic. Yeah. Standard really, innit?
It is. It's been a shit week in the weather though, hasn't it? It's been terrible with the rain up here.
It's been a shit week in general, to be honest, for one reason or another. But we're not going to let any of that.
I've done tests this week, so I'm hoping I pass. So.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. Well, yeah, I know you passed. You've passed. You put a lot of work into this. So fingers crossed for you. Hopefully it'll work out for you.
Nice one.
We've got an interesting...
Happy birthday anyway, there's a birthday
in my days.
It's
the
like
room
I'm
today,
trying to
progress through the show, and there he is, and he's like, pushing on the birthday nonsense. Yeah, thank you very much for that. It's my 40th birthday today.
It is, and he's spending it with you lot.
Yeah, indeed, yeah, look at that. That's service, that, isn't it?
It is,
you know what I'm saying? Well, we've got an interesting show this week. We're going to be looking into the fascinating oddity that is Easter Island.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly one of the most bizarre kind of places in the world with high electromagnetism.
Yeah, definitely.
Also,
one of 12 places.
It's got a connection with extraterrestrials, right? Some say it's another one of those places like the pyramids of Egypt that only could have been built with the assistance of aliens. We'll be looking into it. These huge monoliths of stone heads. Dum-dum. Hey, dum-dum. We'll be looking into the Easter Island, heads. What are they called?
Moai.
The Moai.
They've all got Moai written on them.
Have they?
They're all Moai. Yeah.
Moai, there you go. Yeah, so we'll be looking into the Moai a little bit later on in the show. That's coming up very shortly, as well as other bits and pieces. The NASA news, so it's all well worth sticking around for.
Definitely.
What more can you get? What more can you say?
Well, not much really.
Do you know what? This is interfering. So what have you been up this week? What have you been up to this week? Yeah.
Just like studying for my exams and like making sure I get through and and
like I say,
at least
you'll
try
smash
and
it.
pass.
Like I say, you've put a lot of effort into this, so it's like do you know? Ever since I've known Taylor, he's not what you consider an early bird. Yeah, right. He's definitely a night owl. If he forces me to like record way into the early hours of the morning. Yeah, and he's literally on your fucking schedule most of the time. Yeah. But you've been getting up early for this, haven't you?
I haven't been got bed early.
Up early, bed early. I can't believe it. So you can tell that he's obviously got a lot invested into it. So, don't worry about it. I think that this is the thing as you get older. When you get when you're younger and you're in school and you're being taught, and you're not being taught, you're being advised. You've got a load of topics and it's in the curriculum. You might be interested, but you might not be, right? But you've kind of, as you get older, the topics you choose to educate yourself on, you've got an interest. You want to have a look into it because you've got an interest. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, totally. So it's like when you do come to putting the work in, then you're going to put more maximum effort, if you like. Do you know what I mean?
As time goes by, the system changes, and obviously it gets harder to get into the position. And as you're getting older, it gets harder to get your compass mentis and go, right, I've never done so much more writing. This is it, isn't it?
When I was that was me when I went back to uni, and I was like, oh my god, this is like being back at school. But I've not.
But I enjoyed it though.
I really did.
Must admit, I did enjoy it. Yeah. So, but I'm not like a kind of office pod kind of person. I prefer to be out and about instead of stuck in one area. But I enjoyed the experience, and
well, there you go.
Here's to the next couple of tests I've got coming up.
So, good luck on that. Like you say, so I've been following like all this volcano stuff that's been going on.
Obviously. You've been proper into the volcano since it's
the Canary Islands premier channel at the moment. Well, if you look on YouTube, I mean, there's so many streams of it, and it's literal streams of lava. Yeah. But
it's beautiful looking, though.
It's great to watch, right? Yeah, it is mesmerizing. And you made me laugh last week when you said, "Do you know what would be really good? Like if you could get like I don't know, some sort of device that you could invent something that like a lava device that you could watch lava." And I was like, there's been around since the 60s. It's called a lava lamp. And you were like,
but better than that, like.
Well, what do you like? So what, you could get the heat off it as well, like, you know, like in your living room as a replacement for a log fire.
That isn't a bad idea, you know what I mean? It's like a radiator constantly heating itself. It constantly keeps going round in a circle, so it's moving around.
Have you heard there's a volcano that's kind of started to erupt in Hawaii as well?
Yes, you mentioned it.
Now this happened because of an earthquake, and this volcano, I mean, it has gone off quite a lot, but it was dormant for a couple of years, and now all of a sudden, because this earthquake, it's kind of created fissures in the crust of the top of the and it's contained, but at the moment it's basically just creating like a lake of lava within the volcano. Yeah, so unless it does a major eruption, then, you know, but is it gearing up towards that? And I just find it really fascinating that all these volcanoes and earthquakes are happening at the same time. You know, because as a kid growing up, it was always really few and far between these events.
Yeah. But we never had so much media out there and like looking at it. I mean, like when you're saying there's a channel on that dedicated to just that.
I mean, when I was growing up, it was like something could have happened that we wasn't going to be on the news. You know,
let's go back to Rainbow.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Bungle and Zipper, I love it.
Oh, Jeffrey as well.
Oh, Jeffrey. I had a really. I played this game this week, right? And, I really got into it. Yeah, like, and it was dead short. And normally, do you know when you think, I want something just to play, and it was like
something slightly different,
different,
usual.
And it was such a dark sort of interesting story. And I was trying to explain it to Taylor, but if you've not played it or not heard about it, I definitely recommend it. It's called What Remains of Edith Finch. It's available on Xbox, I'm assuming other platforms as well. But it's a nice indie game.
It twice, didn't you?
Yeah, I had to do it twice because it was just like I was positive I'd missed something, but like, you know, it just does leave you with more questions. But you kind of get this understanding of this. It's a sad story of loss and you know, family and curses and all types of kind of family belief and what kind of people how kind of generations are led to believe a thing or a certain folklore about the family or tale, you know, and also kind of madness as well, and how that's inherently kind of passed down through this family.
Sounds like it by the way you were telling me.
Generally speaking, it's a beautiful game to play, and I'd really recommend playing it. It was really cool. Something else that I got recommended this week that I want to check out and have not yet is something called Squid Game.
Squid Game?
Yeah, supposedly a Netflix show. And how I've been described it is kind of like Takeshi's Castle, yeah. But if you can't get to the top, you die, sort of thing. So it's like a bit like Running Man, you know, like some sort of game where you're going to be hunted down, or you know, you've got to get through this obstacle course of death to get to the top. And I mean, this is just assumption. So if the listeners will probably point out and go, no, you need to watch it or whatever. Yeah, right. Because I've been recommended it about 8 times this week. So
you're going to watch it.
So I'm going to give that a watch and probably give a review or some sort of kind of feedback on it next week.
Yeah. You have to tell us more about it.
Indeed. Yeah. So, that's me. That's me this week. And like you pointed out earlier, it has been my birthday today. So thank you for everyone who did drop me a message. I do appreciate it. It's lovely. I got some nice messages, so thank you very much.
That's mint.
Well, this week's episode is, and support for this week's and the rest of October's episodes is brought to you by Manscaped.
Oh, yes. They're all lovely, Manscaped.
They're great, aren't they? They're the best in below-the-waist grooming and champions when it comes to shaving a Wookiee. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools specifically for that task. You need to get your Wookiee jewels.
You got to get rid of that hair. You go to Manscaped.
They've just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0, right across Europe, and you can get one too. You can join the revolution by going over to the website. Join over 2 million men who have took up the challenge. I wouldn't even say it was a challenge because they're kind of really effortless to use, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. It's like gardening.
That's why they call it the lawnmower, isn't it? I like that.
Exactly, yeah. It works the way it's said.
Well, like we here on the show, we're into cryptids and stuff like that. Yeah, right. So, we thought, who else is the best person to try out the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0? Who would you reckon? Well, because you were with me.
Yeah, I certainly was.
Bigfoot. Yeah, we tracked down a Bigfoot, right, to offer him the chance to get 20% off worldwide shipping. Yeah,
20% and free delivery as well.
Exactly, right, off anything. Well, basically off anything. I think the performance pack or whatever you want to get. And you want to see him now? He's slick, mate. That guy. Yeah. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think he looks more like Madonna.
He sounds happy enough. Well, anyway, yeah. Well, you can.
Now we know where Elvis was.
Well, to be honest, yeah, right. Like I say, he's looking smooth, and you can too. So, get over to manscaped.com.
Get your airy ass out there and go and get your Manscaped.
Use the code NASAPOD at checkout, and you can get 20% off plus free worldwide shipping.
Plus, no more pubes.
Yeah, there you go. Well, there you go. Moving on with the show. Like I say, this week we've got an interesting topic.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about Easter Island. Yeah,
not Easter, but Easter Island.
Why is it called Easter Island, first off? Is that just a coincidence?
No, actually, I do know why, but this second you've just dropped me that I can't remember.
Oh, dude.
And I don't think I've written it down.
It is one of those things, isn't it? Because it's like, what was that? There was something in Hitchhikers like that, where it was called something, France. Yeah. They go to this planet and the place is called France, but they've never ever heard of Earth or anything. It was just a coincidence that the place was called France. It might be a similar thing, but who knows?
I can't remember what it was, but was it to do with something? I think to do with the soil or something.
Right, okay.
It's not because there's loads of Easter eggs there.
So it's where the Easter Bunny lives. Well, yeah. Easter Island or Rapa Nui, which is Spanish for island of Pascua, is it? It's an island that's a special territory of Chile in the Pacific Ocean. So it's kind of like the southernmost easterly point of Polynesian Triangle, right?
Yeah, it's 2,300 miles away from Chile. It takes 5 hours to fly over there.
So it's really interesting place geographically, because it has like a high level of electromagnetism, doesn't it? There, the only other place that is a similar sort of anomaly is the Bermuda Triangle, of all places, right? So it's kind of already got this sort of like energy, if you like. Easter Island, it's been named a World Heritage Site. It's protected. It's an anomaly. It's one of those places when it was discovered, people were like, what the hell's going on here then? Because imagine approaching this island and you're being greeted by these stone structures. Now, I think everybody at this point knows what I'm talking about. We've all seen Night at the Museum with the dum-dum. That's the Easter Island statue. And on the island is literally about 900 of these things.
887.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, they were obviously busy, right, out there creating these stone statues. But there's so many of them, and it's a similar argument.
Different positions, aren't they?
They're all in different positions, but many of them are on platforms and plinths, aren't they? Like, as if to say, like, they're kind of on, the watching, the being honoured, the being raised up.
Guarding the island or something.
Well, is that, would you say that that's what they are?
They were all looked out to sea by the Seven. which the 7 who were looking over the village.
Now, the statues, the 7 sisters, is it?
Yeah.
So the statues themselves, no one's seen anything like this in any of the other islands, apart from Polynesia, but nothing to this scale. So there's many people who believe that the Polynesians made the trek by boat, and obviously the inhabitants had, exchanged cultures and stuff like that.
Yes, there is only one other place that has got statues very similar to him, which is, funny enough, Indonesia.
Oh, right,
Indonesia has got 14,000 of them dotted all around the island, but they don't do the same thing as like look outside to the sea or inside. They're all in different kinds of positions. So there's some similarity to it, but it depends how you look.
Well, there you go. So, I mean, it has kind of like stumped people for years, though, because basically these massive statues, they've been moved by the locals or been moved by somebody, right? And because they're so big, people have always kind of wondered how they've got to the positions they're in. And there's been some speculation whether it could be like UFO related or like they had some ancient, help by a more kind of technologically advanced species, perhaps, or something else. Because the locals actually say, if you were to ask them how did the statues get there, they always say they walked into place. Yeah, so. If you were to hear that off first hand, you'd be like, what? You just take that literally, that they say they walked. I mean, some of them are 82 tons. Imagine that walking, all that way from the kind of because basically they say the stone that was used to carve them comes from like a dormant volcano, which is about 8 miles away. Yeah, so for this massive stone to kind of make that pilgrimage 8 miles to its final position, then that's a lot of walking, So scientists have kind of come out and said that they can kind of replicate the way it walks, and it all comes down to the geometry of the statue in itself. Because apparently what they did was they carved it lay down out of the rock and volcano.
There's still some samples in there of
because there are still some there. So like they eventually broke it off and upright it, but like I say, the geometry, and imagine a bowling pin or a weeble and the bottom weighted. So you've got this. A bowling pin is a good example, but but it's also the base of it shaped in like a D, and it's more tilted forward than the ones that they found at the final resting places, and the eyes haven't yet been carved. So they worked out that they must have been kind of like wobbling it, like ropes, sort of like using the D to roll it left and right, and using the weight and the counterweight, off the actual size and geometry of the statue itself. To walk it, which is brilliant.
Which is clever,
And they found that there was statues en route that had fell over, right? And they worked out that if it was going uphill, then it fell on its face, it fell on its fell on its back, But if it was going downhill, it fell on its face. Do you know what I mean? So they kind of worked out where they were going to intend to put these statues, but they never made it. And then it was like, we can't get it back up now, so we just leave it and start again, So, So, I mean, I do believe that they did have the tools there to do this job. And I do think that it was kind of like an honour to their ancestors or, their gods, if you like. So... I do kind of believe that it was a manpower thing. It was something that they could achieve on their own, and they don't think they needed the aliens to help them, do it. I just think it was a massive feat of engineering, which they happened to hit on, But going into the honouring, the Moai have actually, been built there or carved out the stone to honor an ancestor or a god, if you like, right? And the Rapa Nui say that they were seeded by the Birdman.
Yeah.
So that makes you think that was kind of interesting to think that they believe that their gods are birdmen, like sort of almost extraterrestrial, and that kind of makes sense as well, because obviously ancient alien theorists have said that all along, that these alien species who came down and mixed with us and interbred and stuff like that. So
and sort of done basically what parts in the Bible was placed as well, like the angel come down and took a female and then made a giant who would actually go and try and destroy man. There was stories along the lines of one of the kings there had seven sons, who were giants, and they went over to the island, and what these statues were placed out for was to represent them, and these are our kings or the rulers of this land. But then I haven't heard the story of how they've left there, because the settlers who were already there realistically haven't left there. They're still there.
Yeah,
like
but the thing
7,500 left there.
But there was 10,000 of them, or maybe more, right? And when they were first discovered, and then when the Polynesians or whoever, the local other islands who would kind of travel over there, they'd report less and less every single time, and there was kind of loads of rumours like, well, why are these people dying? What's happening?
Yeah. Is it disease? Is it rats? Is it the tree? Well, the tree theory.
Well, one of the big theories is rats. A popular theory that does exist is that it's called the rat work theory. This is a rather simplistic theory, rather that the people of the island were all killed off by rats, eating all the plants and goods, or they believe to have been eaten by the rats themselves to stay alive. So
I've got something against that myself. Thinking about it,
I believe the lack of crops would make more sense. Do you know, like if you're trying to survive on an island and you're relying on the crops, and rats come along and eat everything, then
it's one of the best soils there. I mean, when the soils are there, you can. There's plenty of sweet potato. There's bananas you can actually grow there. So you know what I mean. There's plenty of.
That's not the point. It's not the point, because I mean, like I say, it depends if they're kind of inundated by a plague of rats. Look at what's happening. It happened in Australia recently. I mean, they've had a problem similar, mice or
that's
rats.
A plague of rats,
and well, think about that. Yeah, that's exactly what had happened, right? And if they come in and literally destroy your entire food crop, then. Yeah, you might not be surviving the winters or whatever. I don't know.
They would have at least known that, look, there's more rats we're seeing around here at the minute, right? We need to do something about this. Let's start clubbing them out. We've got a bit more meat there, or we feed it to cattle, or however they're going to use it.
Well, there was also an idea that by removing all the trees too quickly and wiping out the ecosystem, that could have possibly done something, to think it, because there was a big theory about moving the rocks. I think in the 80s that was saying that they used logs, and I think there was a team who went out there and did it. So fair play to him. They did roll, a statue down the hill, with using the log method, but it wasn't a case of that. It was later to be believed, and I think most people would believe it anyway, that they. And based on the legends of when you ask the locals, they walked there. It's kind of straight away you'd be like, oh, it's one of them where you wish that they were walking themselves, these massive giants, rock people, and then just sitting in place and staying there, and like, but that's again why they could have, because like the idea is that these rocks inhabit the spirits of ancestors or whatever. It made me wonder.
Who knows that rope could be magical to. They've never seen.
There was no markings. There was no markings
back
on the actual statues to suggest that there was any rope used. Because in tests when they were using ropes to kind of see if they could wiggle it one way or another to make it walk upright, which they do believe is how they moved them.
Took a bit of practice, but
was wearing away at the base where the ropes were, and on examination of all the other statues that are already in place, there's no evidence to say that that's there. So,
totally.
I don't know. There's a few ways, I think, but I mean, in terms of the kind of the magical, because they are quite mystical looking. Wouldn't you agree? These big statues. I do love the design of them.
It's only recently one person, and they've been trying to make these for years. There's one person who's got it down. An American got it down to perfect. He made a perfect one, which it would have looked like back then.
Yeah, because what did he use? Traditional tools.
Yeah, just using traditional tools and that. But it took him it didn't take him a couple of weeks. Let's say. Took him.
This is the thing, because I watched a documentary where there was a guy saying you could make. Why is my phone doing that? Mad things.
Well, it's ash in it. It's a build-up of ash that's like pressured together. So if you think about it, it's not going to be really that hard of a rock to knock than something like I don't know, a big boulder out the top of it.
Yeah.
So it's the ash. So I would have thought it would be much easier.
Oh yeah, of course. But I mean, in terms of like what today's tools, you could probably knock it out in a couple of hours. Whereas using the modern tools, maybe a couple of days, but the full statue, right? But you're doing the full statue with those older tools, then it's going to take you a couple of months, and you probably need a few guys working on it, So I don't know. I mean, it's one of those where it's for the sheer volume of statues that they've got, though. I can't believe that it was just a couple of guys who had an idea, to put all these statues about. It's a cultural thing that everybody must have had a hand in it. And maybe these people were dying in, quarry accidents and shit, to be honest. I don't know.
There must have been a high rate of death. It must have been with the amount of climbing, the amount of, nowadays you'd need a shitload of safety equipment to, move one rock, and we're talking 887 of them.
Okay.
And all in different locations. So you're talking from further away from the furthest part of the island to nearest part of the island.
So there's loads of different types of statues, but they're all relatively the same, aren't they? Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's one that's majorly different.
So which ones are the ones that are majorly different?
Well, there's just one, and it seems to be sitting. It seems to be kneeling down. And what they reckon it was an actual singer.
A singer? It was like Tom Jones?
Singer.
Elvis. It was Elvis. He was on his knees doing that. What was he called? James Brown.
Buddy Holly. Yeah, James Brown. Yeah. He was doing a James Brown. But yeah, apparently through... looking at history, they reckon that it's actually an antique singer that's on his knees. It's like, well, why on your knees?
An antique.
And why is it one? Why is there only one?
Because boy bands didn't exist back then. It was just like one guy was talented enough to sing, and he went like this. Hang on. And he was in the charts.
Get them bollocks.
So, one of the biggest theories that comes about is that they've been buried, these heads, and it makes me wonder, because it was like I kept reading a few years back that it's been confirmed that these more to the giant heads, these bodies buried below the ground, right? And I was like, well, I've seen some of them and they've got bodies, haven't they? Right? So but then there's some that are just heads, aren't they? So
because the first lot that apparently written down, the first lot of people who got there, which was 1722 Europeans, they'd actually there were stories of them putting heads back on statues.
Right.
And I've been looking up the history of it. I've been looking at the statues, trying to see if any of them look like, the head's flopped off and like someone's
because
back
there's a big
position.
thing about
like
the bodies were all mostly covered up, and that there was this big sort of hoo-ha that they were like, it's a discovery of a lifetime that they've got bodies under there. And it was like, well, I've seen the ones on the plinth and they've all got bodies. The ones that have fell coming down the hill, they've got bodies. The ones that are carved into the rock that they've not yet chiseled away have all got bodies. So why the big hoo-ha about having bodies? So it made me think, have they found ones that were just heads, and they've turned out to have huge sculpted bodies that have been designed, that have been submerged underground or buried for whatever reason, that are huge, a lot bigger than the ones that we've seen so far. I don't understand, because obviously I know that there's different designs. I know that some of them have like a red hat on with a bit of a top knot, or and whatever.
A hook under the nose, like it looks like a ring, hook kind of thing into making the nostrils.
One thing I did see as well is that they don't carve the eyes in until they're in position. And so basically when they're coming down the mountain and stuff like that, they're blind, until they get to the final resting place. And then what they do is, because of the geometry of the rock that they needed to move it, they start chiseling that away then, and they slimline it a little bit. They put the eyes in, they take that lean off it, and they make it straighter so it stands up straighter. And like I think you were saying, they use like coral in the eyes and sometimes paint them up a little bit. Like And so there are kind of differences in them. So do you think that somebody would have been like, like the Egyptians, or like, we need to make one bigger than, keeping up with the Joneses, almost like, making one bigger than the next guy?
Funny you should say that, actually, because actual statue, the biggest one there is 33 feet and weighs 90 US tons, right? Now, they found one that they was just about to carve out. They were halfway through carving it. Now, it's still in the ground.
Yeah, that's right. But I've seen that one.
They estimated it to be in 70 feet long and 297 tons. Now, imagine doing that rope kind of trick of, moving these rocks. Yeah. Do you reckon there's even enough people on the fucking island to be able to move?
I know he's setting his height. His sight's a bit higher with that one, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. They went a little bit way over their usual step from 33 to 70. You've more than doubled. So like. Got a bit carried away.
I think so. And maybe that's why that one remained in the ground then, really, isn't it? Because I've seen that lay down, still embedded in the rock, and it's interesting to see it, because it almost kind of shows you the process, and I mean, but
it makes me think of the other ones that you see around the world, the slabs. Are they getting moved in roughly the same way?
I mean, like there's some of the statues of the pharaohs that are fully stone statues, and I can only assume that they're carved in a similar way, where they're carved out of the rock, lay down, and then they sort of pivot it to a point where they can break it off with the weight of it, and then they pack it with stone underneath, and then try and raise it. And then it's a case of just finishing off, isn't it? But the one thing that was interesting to see, that in 2015, when they discovered that some of the bodies had monoliths and petroglyphs, petroglyphs on the monoliths, if you like. So like old symbols that were no longer read by any ancient unknown languages, sort of thing. So this kind of comes back into the alien connection, because, like I say, they believe that they're Birdmen descendants of some description.
Which you could only express that one as, in today's thingy, as aliens, or we've landed there in an helicopter or a ship. Someone outside of what is usual has landed there.
Well, this is it, because like some people do believe that rather than walking, maybe that they had a bit of help, and that some people, potentially aliens, came down and helped them move the stones. Lifted by alien creatures, I suppose, alien conspiracies, basically suggest that aliens were involved, and there's some actual residents of the island who still actually say that themselves, don't they?
Yeah, and you still see UFOs and weird lights in the sky and stuff like that.
But it comes back down to the electromagnetism of the area as well, because if you were an alien species and you were looking at a planet, you'd be like, well, and we've already talked about in previous episodes about how maybe they're looking for fuel or energy to go on their missions or whatever, water, the types of things we'd be looking for. If we saw it and we had the opportunity to take fresh water from a planet and restock, we would. Right?
Yeah.
So if they see a planet and they go, well, it's got unusual electromagnetic properties in this area, let's go and have an investigate of that certain area.
Yeah.
It's a place of interest. Then surely that might be the case. It's not out of the realms, is it? But
Mexico's the same. So's Egypt, and places in the Middle East as well.
Of course, South America. You've got the Incas.
Some places I've never even heard of.
You've got the Incas. You've got the Aztecs. You've got all these civilizations who sort of say the same thing, and they've got a sort of in a roundabout way. They all had technology. They were too far away to share the technology, but yet they still had similar circumstances, pyramids, similar interest in the cosmos and mathematics.
I think it's only ever so slight, language or they've got brown hair or ginger hair or just slight differences if you consider it.
Well, let's look at the statues themselves, because some could argue that they're heavily influenced on another species. They're quite unique in the look. Like I say, that as a stylish statue, they're quite unique, aren't they? Really?
Yeah.
They're iconic. People know what it is when you see it. And is it a case of that they were paying homage to another species? I know some cultures do stuff because they've got elongated ears, haven't they? Yeah. Well, and I know some cultures use things to kind of stretch their earlobes and stuff like that it's a religious or cultural thing. Could this be used or taken from something like that, or they're trying to kind of pay homage to?
We would consider a god different to how we would have considered back then, mainly because we know more and we're more advanced on the technology, the science behind the things we think work in a certain way. So back then, I would say they were doing it to a god, which was possibly an alien, because, if it's a god,
it would be a god to them, wouldn't it? Because at the end of the day, it's like anything that has powers above human capability is going to be considered godly, and they're going to be like, shit, mate, he's just flown down from the heavens. And we've already talked in the past about terminology and how looking up at the sky is looking to the heavens. So when they come down, that's why we have the distinction between, was it alien or was it angels or divine, if you like.
And it's all around the world. All all the tribes and that all around the world have had exactly the same experience.
Exactly. You've got aliens have been credited for building quite a lot of stuff on Earth, though, in terms of alien ufology. From the pyramids, obviously you've got the Mayan pyramids, the Nazca lines. Have been kind of attributed to aliens. Obviously, that's another one, isn't it? Because you can't see them unless you're in the sky. And considering we didn't have the capabilities to see that at that time, it's quite a feat. But
it looks like that it's a possibility that a lot of sightings have been on them lines as well now. It looks like them lines seem to be, for UFOs, seem to be the grid to, or the path to follow. So I don't know what's going on there, but as time's going by and more data is coming in on where these objects are being seen and flown, and that it looks like they're actually following the lines exactly the same.
Right. Okay.
So, and if you consider that with ghosts and stuff like that as well, I mean, a lot of things go on these lines, including, like you've been saying, like buildings and that, objects that were there, or objects that now we're having a look and we've just discovered, shit, there's a city there, or shit, there was a massive statue there written about this years ago. You know what I mean? And like, we are finding a lot of things on these lines, and it's good. It's good for the future to find a lot more of these stuff. At least we're going to have a better idea of how to possibly deal or control it.
Well, I'm not sure, you see, because, well, I understand where you're coming from, but it's like I can't understand how, you know, I think humans get less credit than they deserve in a lot of ways, because we are an ingenious species, right? And I mean,
under pressure.
And I mean, if we were guided and they were said, here's some, you know, info, you know, make what you will with this, and then, you know, they come and revisit us a couple of kind of years later to see what the progression's like and all the rest of it, then then fair enough, I can buy that, and I can believe that more in the sense that people would start, you know, using a praying or getting religious about it, or, you know, praying to these gods who came down, and totally. This is why we have kind of records of visitations, and, you know, like even, you know,
different species, different religions,
angels, and all these stories that come out about, you know, I was visited by this, that, and the other, and I was given this information or these messages or a tablet of commandments or whatever, which in our ways to live,
the same books,
you know. Then it makes me think, well, whatever it was a guiding source, if you like, you know, rather than heavily influencing. Do you know what I mean?
That's the problem. It's not a was. It is, because it's still participating today.
So, I mean, I don't know
objects
whether we could have done all these things without alien help. I believe we probably could. I think we could have built the pyramids. I think, like, you know, we could have carved. We could have carved
centuries ago.
These statues. I don't know. You know, I think that we could have. Well, but like I say, they say it's the Birdmen. And you know,
that's if we haven't been manipulated. For all we know, we're manipulated, which some conspiracy theorists suggest that we have been genetically manipulated, and certain texting, like the Anunnaki, in that states that we were manipulated, and there are certain areas where it shows that we realistically couldn't have done that in the short time with our genetics, because it takes time for us to be able to breathe underwater or stuff like that.
Easter Island statues are like 4 centuries old, if you like, but you know, there's also a load of carvings and stuff, you know, like in the rocks and stuff like that, and one of the famous ones is the half bird, half man, Birdman, that's basically carved into rock there.
Indians had Birdmen, didn't they? And so did
Akima, which is basically held the original power in society. It was typically throughout Polynesia. So, you know, there is that Polynesian influence as well. But there is actually a Birdman cult festivals that people attend and locate around Easter Island as well. So, apparently. But it's one of the most famous Easter Island, you know, sort of legends is the Birdman.
Yeah. And don't forget Chile. Chile's had a hell of a lot of UFOs to deal with and stuff, and, like, you know, they've got markings as well. You know what I mean? So
they actually consider it a cult. You know, they say the Easter Island is one of the best islands to visit in the South America. This is an article I've just found. So one of the three borders of Polynesian Triangle with Hawaii and New Zealand, Let's see. So it's important to mention the Rapa Nui name describes the inhabitants of Easter Island having one of the most interesting developments in history's humankind, with many ups and downs. But it seems like they've developed a cult around the Birdman legend, and I think, obviously, if they believe, maybe it's one of those where it's like,
so it's like a religion now.
Yeah, so basically, after the fall of the Moai carving era, its society, new gods replaced the old ones, whilst the struggle for power came to light. In order to settle the non-violent manner, the Birdman cult competition was established to help decide who would lead the Rapa Nui each year. So the process was simple. Each year, the elder would make a bid for leadership and choose one of his champions to honour the gods, and who a better way to honour the gods of Birdman than stealing an egg. So they have to steal an egg, so the chosen ones of the Birdman cult would then dive off the dangerous cliffs of the village from the volcano. They would swim to a small sort of inlet, right? Yeah. Which is named Moto Nui, and then wait for the first sort of swoon turn eggs of the season, swimming back to the shore with the egg safely. If they get it there safe and undamaged, the first person there would be the supreme ruler for the year.
That's good. That I like.
We get Boris Johnson to do it.
Yeah, he'd be out of breath by the fucking time he
I mean, it's a bit of an interesting sort of setup, isn't it?
Yeah, but I kind of like it that they've kept their culture, because over the years, cultures from around the world have been, eroded, but would like join into
it's
one.
Weird though, because but I mean, the Birdman itself comes from, they believe to be an extraterrestrial species.
Yeah.
So, I think like the idea that there's this cult, it's almost like when, you see, what was it called? Book of Secrets, or, like National Treasure. And you've always got that sort of society working in the background to protect it. And then, they come out when it's under threat.
I wouldn't have thought there'd be any money or big power coming in to actually, make them consider a different way. So if you think about it, their religious way at the minute, doing what they're doing, is still as old as probably their tribes.
Well, I found
unlike ours.
I found this recently. It was an article that was published last year, and it basically says a UFO expert claims NASA photograph shows Easter Island Moai statue on Mars.
Hey, we've had monoliths, so why can't we have a statue?
So
we've had a face. We've possibly got a second face now.
So whilst viewing photos taken by NASA of Mars, UFO expert has claimed he has spotted objects closely resembling the statues found on Easter Island. A number of alien hunters believe that the objects is further proof that whoever made Easter Island statues, or the Moai, came from the Red Planet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of planets. Why? Well, I mean, they could have come from Mars.
Yeah, because Mars is near enough to what our planet would be. Each one's been the same.
I think that the statues, they're very kind of, like I say, they do represent humans, if you like, if you look at them.
Yeah,
you can say they're a humanoid, yeah. But like you say, they're very big in proportion, so it's one of those, isn't it? I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, when you look at, like, alien greys, the proportion of the heads compared to the bodies, very similar to the Moai sort of thing there. Do you know, I don't know. I think there's still a lot to kind of glean from the, in the future. And hopefully they'll still continue to do the archaeology and the research in the area to find more out about the Moai, and more about it. So,
every year they're bringing like new stuff. So they're still working on it. And like I said, there's like over 7,000 people who are living there now, and I reckon quite a few of them would be archaeologists to, getting the nose in there. And there's like 135 hotels in there, so people could go over and do a bit of investigation. But it does cost you, on top of everything else, it does cost you $80 or 54,000 pesos to actually go there, and that's because it's a heritage place since 1995. So to put the upkeep, making sure that no trashing, all that shit is going on.
I mean, there's still quite a lot of UFO sightings, over Easter Island. I've got a couple of reports here. I've got one from March 14th, 2018, and it was come from MUFON. And this is one of the two UFOs were seen. They were noticed by eyewitnesses as they darted through the clouds. They also said that the UFOs were possibly hiding within the clouds.
Peekaboo.
Yeah.
There's quite a few like that.
Eyewitness statement said, my wife and I were settling in and sightseeing on Easter Island, and saw two silver-shaped flying objects entering the clouds. I was unable to photograph one of the objects, but he still managed to get a picture of one.
Oh, but at least he's trying to get a picture. You know what I mean? A lot of people would stand there, be stunned first, and then right, I'll go and get a picture. It's too late.
So, it seems like there is, still activity
definitely. There's massive activity around there. But you know what? I just thought of something, actually, because is that around the spot? Oh, actually, it might be the other side, actually, because there's a spot around Argentina, at the bottom of Argentina, where it actually, no signals can go through it. Our satellites have to turn off to get through them, and that the ISS has to avoid it because it dead everything, and they don't know why, but it's getting bigger as well.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure.
Did you mention like the Anunnaki and stuff, like, or were they involved in this? Because I know there was the theory of like the 7 stone giants, and did we call them the 7 sisters or something earlier? Yeah, but so just wanted to go into a bit more about that, because that's 7 16 feet 18 ton statues that are supposed to symbolize 7 explorers sent by the king Hotu Matu from Polynesia. Right. Some believe that they were actually built as a monument to the Polynesian gods, not chiefs or any other sort of high-ranking people, but more so
but
the
just
gods.
Guardians, basically.
I reckon that might. So maybe those were the initial starting point. In terms of we've got this sort of way of honouring people. And then rather than, we have tombstones or gravestones or whatever, maybe this was their sort of way of honouring, a family member who died or whatever. But again, it's like how much, how do we know that there's no bodies? How do we know? Well, maybe they have another ritual, because, these civilizations who send them off to sea or, cremation or whatever. So perhaps they dispose of the body in another way, but they still want a reminder or something to honour the memory of, if you like.
But I would have thought they're more like guardians, because they're all looking out to sea to look out for those who want to take the territory, because they're an island basically. You know what I mean? And there's someone could come in, and then because they've definitely on the thing of guarding themselves because of the 7 sisters. Well, because they've got them looking into the village to guard over the village.
Well, this is the thing. The 7's interesting, because from ancient Egypt to sort of British descendants, these 7 plays very key role in creation and the development and sort of stuff. So, and that's throughout a lot of cultures throughout history. And that is interesting, actually, because we have 9 as well, I think. We've got, like, some sort of stone circles. The 7s and 9s, you know, play prominently there. So
yeah, but that makes me think of, Tesla, the 369 thing that he said, like, they are the numbers to find to actually get free energy. But
free, it's
if
a magic
the island
number.
has got a lot symbol on the 7, and that is got one of 12 places which is actually, the magnetic is very strong at certain times of the year.
That's it, innit? So what do you reckon then? Did these people who, obviously have been cut off from the rest of the world for literally millions of years, if you like, do you think that a long time, but do you think they had the opportunity to meet extraterrestrials? Who knows?
Well, yes, possibility.
It is a possibility out there, isn't it? Let us know what you guys think. If you've got any, comments or suggestions, anything you want to talk about, really, about tonight's episode, you can get in touch. Leave us a comment in the episode, and we'll have a chat with you about it.
We will, indeed, we will.
Of course, we will. Well, we're lovely like that. So, I believe that we do have what's it called? Sorry, I'm losing me thought. A trail of thought now.
Track of thought.
Exactly. Yeah. What's it? We do have a promo this week.
We do.
So try and find it.
Well, you will. We'll give you a couple of seconds.
Terrible. Well, right. Okay. So I've got too much going on at once.
We'll let you off because it's your birthday.
It's my birthday. Nice one. No, my laptop keeps freezing up, so when I'm trying to do stuff, it's like my mouse, my tracker pad, if you like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're having little issues.
Giving me grief.
Technology ain't supposed to make things easier and fuck up when you want it the best time.
This week's promo is brought to you by Geek Exploration podcast.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Geeks.
Geek Exploration podcast. Each week, John and Ben pick a new topic from the geekosphere and do a deep dive into what makes it so great. New episodes are available every Tuesday. And
get down there.
We've got a promo for you right now.
Welcome to Geek Exploration, the podcast. I'm John Williams.
And I'm Ben Robinson. Do you like time travel?
Movies.
Video games?
Comics.
Sci-fi?
Cartoons.
Or how about action figures?
Well, so do we. Every episode, we pick a topic from the geekosphere and have a little chat about it.
So if you've been waiting for a groundbreaking podcast that does all of this and more, you might have what it takes to be a Geek Explorer.
Come join us every other Tuesday for a fresh installment of Geek Exploration, the podcast.
You can find us at geeksplorationpodcast.com or any reputable podcatcher. And likely a few unreputable ones.
Cheers, guys, for sending over your promo. If you would like your podcast featured on the show, please send us your promo to neverstraightanswer@gmail.com with a Spotify link, and we could get you featured on the show and the website.
Indeed, son.
So,
indeed.
It's been a good show so far. We've got some news, I think. As usual, we've got some absolute winning news, so we're on with the show. It's a news! That kicked in a bit too loud, I think. I do apologise anyone here with earbuds. Sorry.
Yeah. Hearing aids put back
you just
together.
Got absolutely head blown off. As always, we've scoured the World Wide Web to find the best, most interesting and bizarre news known to man. And I think we've found it from Earth, space, and beyond. First story. What was I going to talk about? We've got a lot of celebrities news this week, which is kind of interesting because, obviously, the celebrities are out doing weird shit, as usual. And so Britney Spears has kind of been in the news, obviously, because she's had this court case with her father about kind of her rights and her the money that she's earned and the control over it and the control over her sort of brand and her life, basically. So I mean, she won a case and now she's basically in charge of herself finally, her own estate and all the stuff that comes with that. She she literally celebrated that by posing naked in a collection of photographs that she posted directly to her Instagram account. So like, get this out of the way. I'm sure everyone's going to be like, when you're posing, just let's get it out of the way. Like, but she's been slated for it, mainly because they were obviously photoshopped. Is a lot of the headlines will say Britney Spears releases obviously photoshopped images, and it's like, well, so what? You know, even if she did touch herself up a little bit, you know, you know, it doesn't really matter. She was on a tropical getaway celebrating the victory over her father. One thing I've got to say is more power to her. Yeah, right. Yeah. But one thing I will say is, and I don't want to be a buzzkill or a killjoy or anything, to anyone. Yeah, but you know, she'll have a lot of young fans on her Instagram. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, like I say, I can see why she's done it, and like save more power to the girl. But it's like, when you've got a fan base of young girls and people who might consider her a bit of a role model, she needs to watch out what she's doing when she's posting. Because Instagram, it's not like, you know, it's one of those where it's you don't have age restrictions as much, you know, for the kids.
This is where we need parental control.
But, I mean, you know, if she wants to do that, then set up an OnlyFans. I'm pretty sure she'd smash it, to be fair.
Well, she will.
Maybe that's what she's doing. It's setting herself up for her OnlyFans account.
Yeah, she's just let her hair down for, you know, a couple of
all she has to do is like get into the school uniform, and then her OnlyFans would go through the roof.
Yeah.
Something to consider,
you might just give her a good idea then. She might do that next week.
More celebrity news, though, is the case of
R. Kelly. I know what you're going to say now.
R. Kelly's back in the closet. R. Kelly gonna keep him in the closet for life. He's in with...
he's guilty.
He's been proven guilty now. So, I mean, he was in for 2 years anyway, whilst waiting court.
Yeah. I was looking at 15 to 20.
So,
that's, I mean,
it just kind of, when you see that interview when he was like, I didn't do it. You're trying to kill me. And he's like, you know, you did, didn't you? It's like, you know there's certain people, when you look at them and they tell you they didn't do it, but you kind of know they did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what's the most
who is
kind of
Prince
sickening
Andrew,
about
there's, you know, Michael Jackson. Who else?
The kind of sickening part of it is that it took far too long to deal with, and there will be a lot more, like, there's possibly a lot more victims out there from other celebrities that they've gone forward and actually not been believed. I mean, whistleblowers seem to be ones who get the kick in the ass when they're the ones who actually need to be the ones who get listed.
Well, this is the thing about power, isn't it? Because people in high influential jobs who have power, you know, can use that that sort of influence and, you know, recognizability in, you know, so, you know, if it's R. Kelly, for instance, or another celebrity figure, you've already got that sort of like association with them, because, you know, you might have been brought up listening to the songs, and you know, that can put you in a dangerous position maybe. And it's like, you know, it's I mean, going away, but it's obviously like, you know, it's a very similar situation to what's gone on with the police at the moment. And we've got another story coming up in a bit, which is similar and related. But, you know, the police in the UK at the moment are under scrutiny because a police officer basically stopped a young girl in the street, used his power and influence whilst off duty to arrest and abduct a young girl off the street. And this girl ended up, you know, losing her life. And at the end of the day, it's that trust in these authorities that we've got to kind of, you know, try and get back. And how can you? I mean, how can you?
Majority of coppers are good. You will get it, but in everywhere you'll get, like, you know, the odd.
They just all remind me of stormtroopers. It's like I'm joining up to protect the Emperor. Do you know what I mean? It's like, here's your uniform. Go and troop.
Yeah, to be honest,
go and stormtroop.
Yeah, they're not going by the law at the minute. They're going by what they're being told to do, and it's like you've got to follow the law. Your commanders and chiefs.
There was another story. Like I said, I had another story. I mean, but like, have you seen anything in the news recently? Because
I have. Labour over in this country has just had their big party conference and trying to get people to vote for the next election that's come up, because it might be an early election coming up. It's watch this space, but they've just gone from bottom to rock bottom because the trade unions have just pulled out their support for him.
You shouldn't pull out. The ones that pull out halfway.
They're like the ones that give the biggest funds, and it's like from the people. This is what this is what we want you to do, and then we will sponsor you. Obviously, the people are very unhappy with the situation going on. They're not fighting on the back for the people, and they're not turning around as well and putting the government into account for all the shit that they're doing and trying to do at the moment, especially with Boris Johnson trying to rule over the courts on stopping freedom of press and sorting out trying to bring in new things for the next election, so it makes him easier to win, because here it's first to the post, and he's going to change it so he's got more of a chance, or the
he's going to try and pull. He's going to try and pull a fast one.
Pull a fast one, yeah. And he's doing it through bills, and he's going over the court's heads, and he's trying to move laws that stop him from doing that.
What do you think about that, Bigfoot?
Yeah, so keep your eyes out, because I'm keeping my...
He doesn't agree. He doesn't like that.
Yeah, he's a bit grumpy about that, isn't he? And if I could, I'd let him loose on them at the minute, because they're
go nuts.
Do a Hulk on him. Whoa.
He doesn't need to. He can do a Bigfoot on him.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. So, have you got any?
I've got plenty. I've seen this in Rolling Stone. Basically, its headline is CIA reportedly did consider kidnapping and assassinating Julian Assange.
No, they're admitting.
Well, they were probably considering a lot of things, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Killing him there, or taking him over there, and then doing all this shit, and then kill him when they let him out later on.
You know what? I can just imagine the CIA boss, pacing around his office going, "I'm going to kill him. I'm going to get him. Do you know what the things I'm going to do to that guy?" I'm sure they considered quite a lot of shit, to be honest. But the idea CIA that, we needed, you're telling us stuff we already know here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this reported
going on, CIA behind it.
They did actually have a plot to kidnap him. Yeah, right.
Well, he did.
And senior officials of basically, and the Trump administration allegedly went as far as to consider options of how to assassinate the WikiLeaks founder.
Wow.
So it's like, that's pretty funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, he should be free now, because there's actually there can't be any charges against him now. So he should actually be free.
At the end of the day, yeah, right, if you didn't have shady secrets, then people wouldn't feel the need to, let the people know what's going on. Yeah. If you consider an atrocity, if you can, commit an atrocity, then don't be surprised if someone finds out about it. They're not going to grass you up. Do you know
what is turning out? That there are reports coming out that are being double checked at the minute about. Do you know what the Afghan war was really for? It was for actually laundering money, laundering the American money to try and so they can clean it and put it in their own fucking bank accounts.
Serious? Oh, there you go.
Well, if you think about it, they had like billions on a fucking tray in the middle of the desert in a fucking tent. You know what I mean? And they have private security guarding it.
Well, that's a good place to put it if you're laundering it, innit? Because, nice dry desert heat, dry it out after a nice launder.
Oh, yeah. So, there's a lot of suspicion and the starting investigation.
I wonder if they use fabric softener.
Well, it's open. Because it would be very itchy and uncomfortable out there, especially around your knacker area. You know what I mean? So that's when you give it a good fucking trim. Then
that's when you get your old razor out. So I've seen this. I've seen this story because I mean, this is a kind of place I love. Glastonbury.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Glastonbury. It's it's a great place. Yeah, to go if you've ever get the chance to go. It's the UK's biggest festival. In the country. It's great. But there's been a bit of an issue now because people are out there having a wicked time, right? Right. And they've found that drugs in urine from Glastonbury festival goers are posing a threat to some rare wildlife in the area, particularly rare eels. Now, levels of...
You mean they take drugs?
Well, then they're being forced, the drugs.
Festival?
Yeah, what the kids do. Yeah, probably.
No, I don't believe that.
Well, this says they do because levels of MDMA in river water in Worsley Farm basically were like quadrupled. I couldn't speak then. Quadrupled after the week's festival, according to a study.
Okay, now, man.
So that just says
they should be complaining.
I was going to say, I mean, at the end of the day, it sounds like Worthy Farm's got a bit of a problem with MDMA in if the rest of the year round as well, because it's only quadrupled. I mean, that suggests that there was MDMA in the water to start with. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, what's happening in Worthy? What's happening in Glastonbury? That's a 24-hour party town.
Is it worth catching them now while you're there at the festival and like feeding them back to the people?
How do you mean?
Who were getting high. Well, it's not off its fucking nut. The drugs obviously
the eels,
work.
And raving. They're getting a free festival, feeling the vibrations. They get a bit of some top artists and some free drugs.
You kill it and feed it back to the people, don't you?
So kill what?
Kill the eel.
It's a rare endangered species, mate.
Oh,
it's
is it?
I don't know if they might turn around and say, them eels endangered, can't do the festival anymore. But so the levels of the drug found in running through the rivers near Glastonbury Festival were so high they could harm wildlife. Scientists have warned. Researchers discovered that it was an environmentally damaging level of the substance MDMA and cocaine in the water after the festival in 2019, which could have been affecting wildlife. They're all there like that. Boom, boom. Yeah. I can do anything.
Fucking nut.
Rabbits going at it like the clappers. Fucking like squirrels storing nuts like a psychopath. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like that made the my nuts. Getting in fights,
chasing cows,
getting in fights with badgers. It's what?
Oh yeah, imagine a badger. They're already fucking rough enough as it is. Imagine them on fucking DMA.
It's like fucking like the 90s.
Be out of this shitter.
It's like the 90s of Farthing Wood. So have you got any more stories that you've seen?
Yeah, President Putin. Yeah, has put YouTube on notice.
It's going on notice. I'm sick of. You never recommend me anything good. You always make me watch fucking gardening programs. It's not what I like.
Well, he's saying quit your censorship of what they're doing at the minute.
What censorship? What are we doing?
They've added extra censorship in this week.
So what exactly?
Basically,
they have, haven't they? Yeah. So basically,
it's this way by the government. You can have it on there, but if someone goes against that,
we could talk about COVID, and if they don't agree with what we're saying, they can take us down.
Yeah, and he says,
I did
YouTube
read that.
now run the risk of them being taken out of Russia altogether.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised because, more and more of these countries are creating their own, like, interweb, if you like,
That's
like an intraweb, which is literally just, career-specific or whatever. And it's more of a suppression tool because that does, I mean, if anything, by taking it away, that is taking away free speech from the population of Russia. I mean, unless he's prepared to create another platform, which is a very similar thing. But the revenue that's, generated from YouTube, but also, the revenue that content creators can create and generate.
Yeah, but there's other places instead of YouTube.
Do you think that it's a case of the, people in Russia can create revenue to an extent that they don't like, or potentially like, you know, they have control of the ad money coming in, so they can create their own YouTube because YouTube's not available. They can take that market away. Do you know what I mean? And it's interesting because
out there.
Well, that's how PewDiePie got beat by you know, another country, because I think it was India, like where they didn't have YouTube, and then it was introduced, and all of a sudden, because of the population of India, it was a case of, well, whoever was popular in India was going to be the number one spot, regardless, because of the overall population. I mean, it could, and I think that's what it was. It ended up being an Indian, like sort of MTV sort of music video sort of channel, that overtook the biggest YouTuber on the books as number one, with the most subscribers, the most views, the lot, and the amount of money that YouTube must be paying them, you know, in ad revenue is probably the fucking net worth of a small country. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, exactly, because they've opened it up to a whole new market. But like, you know, you take that away and create that yourself, then does that? You know, you say we're not allowed YouTube in Russia. We're going to create our own YouTube called KGB Tube. It's nice, yeah. You know, and
it's called our TV, isn't it?
Well, it's just full of propaganda and fucking FPS Russia videos and stuff like that. Going, I'm going to try an AK today, and all this, and it's just like fucking.
As long as you don't go back to the old one of like
pure guys swinging on monkey bars. That'll be it. It's just fucking loads of car crashes and fights. Right, well, anything else you've seen? I've got a couple more news stories.
Yeah, I've got, actually, I could put these, I'll go with this one first. It's been called out that, you know, US drones?
Yeah.
Do you know where they're buying them?
Probably Japan, Korea.
China, yeah.
Oh, well, that's good, isn't it? Probably Huawei, whatever, like, and to be honest, it's like, well, most technology does come out of China, to be fair, but like, you know, when, well, they shouldn't be, you know, again, it's a case of security, isn't it? It's a case of national security, where if you're going to be implementing this technology into your security of the country, then you don't buy it from the people who you consider potential enemies. Do you know what I mean? You develop it yourself so that they don't have any capabilities to fucking use it against you, or listen on you, take your fucking data. It's ridiculous. And I can understand why we've turned around and said, I think we're going to probably sack off our network of, 5G with you, and we'll sort it out ourselves, because it's a matter of national security. Do you know, it doesn't come down to, like, you know, saving a few quid because they can make a nice drone.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And this is a thing that's like, it's kicking off. Like, you've just gave Afghani soldiers a fucking army's worth of equipment that could, you know, take any other country if they wanted.
Surely they should have destroyed that before they left. Or at least took it with them. Do you know, it's like I was talking about, like, again, talking about Glastonbury the other week, and I was saying about how, it wasn't Glastonbury, was it? It was one of the Leeds or Reading festivals, and how the mess that they left, and festival goers leaving the tents behind because they couldn't be arsed transporting it back home. Yeah, right. Now, obviously, they've got this reputation, the military, of leaving stuff in war zones. But when it can be utilised by the energy, well, they should have destroyed it. They should have. I mean, at the end of the day, all they did was crack open the warehouse or the bunker they were kept in, and went, boys, load up. We've got all this stuff now. Do you know what I mean? So
why? It questions why this is the only war, realistically, that we've left, and the Allies have left, but we've left equipment. It's all right, we've left equipment untouched.
Guys, we're getting off now, but we've left you some bits. I know we don't want to be,
careful, manuals are in their glove compartment.
Exactly, we don't want to be leaving you short. So we've left you some stuff.
We will. In a couple of years.
Don't you worry about. We're not going to use it. You take it. Right. Just enjoy it. We'll be thinking about you.
We've been training them for the last 21 years.
That didn't work out, did it? Because they were training them to basically take over the defence once we left. But they just went, Oh no, we're all right.
On the other side.
yeah. That just collapsed like within the first day, if you like.
Yeah.
But
first half hour, he was fucking
interesting
out of there
stuff.
On his tips.
It's crazy world we live in. I found this really funny, quite interesting. This is a story about a US Special Operations Unit, in California, right? Who were assaulted by a ninja with a sword.
Yes.
What a ledge? Well, no, it's not, because obviously knife crime and all that, But I mean, what did he think? Seems very unlikely, but it did indeed happen. A man wearing a full ninja outfit, so he was like fucking like a foot soldier.
He was a foot soldier.
Attacked members of a US Army Special Operations Unit in the middle of the night in California, in the desert. So basically, he set off.
Was he kung fu fighting?
He must have been, He apparently injured at least 2 of them, according to police reports. But the incident occurred.
A splinter, wasn't it?
He basically went undercover, ninja style, didn't he? Dressed ninja, full ninja garb, right? Sword. He probably had nunchucks, right? Yeah, ninja stars, the lot. Yeah, I bet he had those little pumps on that look like you've only got 3 toes.
Hey, you got to do it on the whole outfit. You know what I mean? You can't do it and then bring your slippers.
Well, I wonder what belt he was.
Well, black belt, any.
So
you can't have a white one.
The victims said that it came out of nowhere. They don't know without warning. So the members of the 106th Special Operations
took them by surprise when they should have been on duty.
Said that it was just literally no idea what it was. They thought it might have been a part of a training exercise or something, but like it turned out. It was a legit ninja.
What? He's got passport and everything. He's got all the certificates.
Well, it was like, he flicked open his wallet and he had his he went
ninja license.
Jim Jones ninja.
770.
So what do you reckon to that?
I reckon, but was he actually? Was he another soldier or was he from another, country that's actually was espionage, over there and thought, kick their asses and like nick their wallets or whatever, nick the data that they've got with them. Or there's a lot more questions around that one because I bet he dies now.
Apparently the ninja was he'd been caught, but he didn't obey any of the deputy's orders. He was basically being a bit of a tit, but being a bit of a ninja.
Because basically, I want to know: is it a guy who was down the pub and then he's thought, he's seen an outfit? You know what? And I know the soldiers down there. I got kicked there, but
so apparently, both the sergeant and the captain required stitches for the wounds, but he was clear to return to duty after the incident. Man, just a random ninja. Thought he'd have a try. You know what? He goes, "What? Their special unit? I'm a ninja." That was literally the way I see it. So
I'm coming for you.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Yeah,
this guy was
special forces.
There's been a load of that. There's been a load of kung fu fighting at petrol pumps in England recently because petrol isn't even. We haven't even got a shortage. No. It's just literally a case that nobody can get it anywhere. But we've called the army and they're going to be delivering it as of like this weekend, Monday. So tomorrow, by tomorrow, the soldiers will be delivering your petrol. You'll be all right.
So start with them boys. They sort you out.
But the videos that have come from it have been fucking ridiculous because I don't know why people get so stressed. Yeah, like it's just like wait around. I know it's frustrating, but you're gonna get petrol, and if you run out, you're gonna have to go somewhere else. Yeah. Unfortunately,
you can only have 30 quid's worth of petrol now at the minute.
Really? You can't buy more than £30
you can't buy any more. Yeah.
Well, like I say, I mean, it's just, like I say, it's not even a shortage. It's literally because of logistics. But anyway,
they're making it to be a shortage.
Do you know that Squid Game thing I was talking about earlier?
Yes,
the
I do.
The Netflix hit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, this made me laugh. There was a Korean man. Yeah. He's been inundated with over 4,000 calls. Yeah, in a day after his phone number was used on the show. So somebody's put his phone number up, and obviously this Korean guy's ended up getting hassles, getting people ringing him up. So the South Korean presidential candidate has ordered to buy the number off the man for $85,000.
What?
Yep.
You're joking.
No, seriously. I don't know. I'm thinking that if...
What, is it a special number or something?
It's appeared on Squid Game, which apparently is a sick show that everyone should watch, and I'm going to check it out, but I have not watched it yet, so I can't comment. But the phone number's been used, and this guy's getting absolutely tons of phone calls, and this guy is a guy who wants them phone calls. By the sounds of it, he wants
sounds
the
like
number.
A lonely person.
Or maybe it's just because it's been on the show and he loves the show. But he's the presidential candidate of South Korea.
Hey, well, if you can, you do, don't you?
He's apparently So the Korean man has reportedly been offered 100 million.
What?
Which is about $85,000.
Take it.
By that guy in exchange for the phone number, which has been bombarded with calls featuring on the show. So the Squid Game is a fictional Korean drama series which contestants complete sort of a Takeshi's Castle sort of mysterious survival game.
So it's a bit like Wipeout.
Yeah, maybe. That turns children's games into a deadly trap for the chance to win 45 billion. Which is about 4.6 billion won, which is about $38.7 million.
38 million?
Yeah, I don't think it's not a real win. I think it's a drama series, isn't it?
Right.
So
it's
set in this sort of fictional
I'll
world.
Go over and have a go.
I know. Yeah, I'd be on that. Give me. I want a one. Give me the one. Yeah. So, anything else you want to talk about before we go into NASA news? I've got a couple more stories. I've got 2 more stories.
I have, and these can sort of be joint because, yes, you hear it here, you hear it everywhere. America is broke.
It is. They've run out of pennies, haven't they? I mean, like, what happens now then?
Right. Well, they've made $500 billion to last the next 2 months. What they're doing is
they're going to put it all on red.
There's a 3.3.
It's like we're going to go Atlantic City.
$3.5 trillion that he's trying to get in, but what the problem's going to be is that companies have any employee or over 100 employees. If any of them turn out to have the COVID, and they don't get sent home, basically, they're going to get like a 70 grand fine. And it can go up to
they're hoping that they're going to milk all the big companies out of all this money. So basically, if you're a CEO of one of these big companies, you best start playing by the books because they're going to fucking slam you for fees and charges and whatnot.
They're going to have to default basically in 2 months' time. That means it gets a lot worse because
who seizes those? Well, what about assets? Can they not just come and seize assets? Send the bailiffs in.
Oh yeah. More of that will happen. And don't forget, there's a lot of things coming in. A lot of high prices. I mean,
when it comes to a country and you run out of cash, like as a nation, I mean,
you default.
Well, yeah, I know, but how does that work? Like I say, it's like, how can you default? I mean, your economy's still going. There's still money in the system.
Yeah, but there'd be money to do so much, but you can't send that money to the bills. So the bills will be either halted for a certain amount of time, but more than likely not paid. So that's bad for people under the security as well. Under getting their payment by governments and
like
stuff like that, doctors,
or pensions,
nurses,
or any
all that
civil
kind
sectors, those types of things. Yeah,
everything will get messed up, and then companies will not invest in that country because they're asking for too much tax, basically. So then that's an advantage to us.
I suppose. It depends.
It's
an advantage to countries that are slightly less ethical in the practices, because obviously, or tax-free nations. When there's that's why businesses take their head offices to fucking
China. I mean, a lot of American companies went to China because the taxes were paying low, and it's looking like China will be the next like superpower, and because America's being knocked off the platform at the minute. I mean, the internal fighting that's going on as well. I mean, even Biden behind the back of him, that like people are arguing because he's after this 3.5 trillion pound booster, but then they've got to pay that. They've got 24 trillion to pay. They cannot do it. They were bankrupt 2019, and
it's coming to buy him. It's like, can we all put like, no, can we all not like do a whip round?
What have you got? 24 trillion? Do you reckon we can make?
No, I'm not saying personal.
5 trillion.
I'm not saying like me and you. Yeah, come on, I've got £2.50. Like, come on, what can you stick in? Like, it's like fucking. I mean, countries. I mean, if we're all in it together. I mean, we have international aid for countries, don't we, when they're in the shit? Why is that no different?
They'd have to go to the International Monetary Fund, but this is the issue with that. It's like a bank. When you go to them and go, well, can you give us this amount of money and we're doing this, and this? You have a contract and you sign things away. So you'll be signing things within your country away, including rights and like buildings and sectors.
There's a lot of people out there who believe that, like, you know, the government can just print more money. Do you know, like, and they'd be like, oh, no, you don't know what I mean, but, like, generally speaking, like, it's their money to print, you know, and the fact is, I mean, well, quantitative easing is one thing, but, I mean, in terms of, like, when it's the Bank of, say, in England, it's the Bank of England who have the money. It's not the government. And the same as, like, if I wanted a loan, the government have to go to the Bank of England and say, can we have money? Yeah.
And they're a private company.
You know, and exactly. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm assuming this is one of the conspiracies behind why JFK got shot, because he wanted to create an American dollar bill which wasn't owned by the Fed. Yeah, so, and, you know, it was a case of that it's not owned by the government. They've got to go to the federal bank and get money from them. The same way we have to go to the Bank of England and request money in the same way, because they've got it all. Yeah, so who's really in charge? Who's really in charge at the end of the day? Because is it the US country that's skint and out of money? Or is it the federal bank that's out of money? Because I can guarantee it's not the federal bank that's got no money. The federal bank as a system is smashing it, where it's the country that they borrow to, which is the United States of America, that's got the problem, which is, you know, a fucking sad state of affairs, considering that,
massive, you know, state of affairs, man.
When it comes to the wealth of an entire nation, and that's controlled by an organization who says yes or no. You know, and that's the sad. That is sad. So
it just looks like a deliberate fucking sabotage, to be honest.
It's a sabotage. Do you know?
The second part of that is President Biden. Well, have you seen what's been happening? He went to a baseball game the other day. And did you hear what the crowd was speaking?
To a ball game. What was he doing? Was he just enjoying a ball game, having a hot dog?
Well, he just literally walked in there, and the crowd was saying, fuck off. Seriously, the crowd. But apparently they've been doing it at a lot of big events. They've been saying, like, shouting Biden to fuck off. And it was like, what the fuck? That's your old president. And even they, like, know that, like, he's fucking their country up at the minute.
Well, I don't know, because it's like, I think for a lot of people, it was a case of that it was better, anything was better than Trump, do you know? And I mean, at the end of the day,
but
it's like he's made a lot of, obviously the coming out of Iraq was a bit of a fucking shit show, do you know? But well, you know what I'm talking about. Again, it's like, you know, to be honest, it's been great not going on Twitter and not having to put up with the ranting and ravings of a lunatic fucking leader. Do you know what I mean?
Well, did you hear he went to Florida?
That.
Went to Florida and tried to get the people to get him back on Twitter.
He's gonna probably run again anyway.
So he's already running. Yeah.
I don't believe we've seen the back of Trump. Do you know?
I hope he does win again as well.
On the political stage. So we'll see where it goes from there.
He's doing a lot better job than these assholes at the minute. You know what I mean?
Well, it's one of those, isn't it? It's like you're always gonna get that. I mean, it's when it's the same people who are up for fucking election because it's all the same people from the same school, from the same fucking background, with the same fucking ideas and the same sort of fucking education. So, how can we change things if we just keep cycling through the same fucking bullshit every single time?
There is talk at the minute on why it's not working when we go into the political area and they're not listening to what we're saying. Why we go out on the streets and try and tell them and they're not listening to what we're saying. We've got to find a new and more easy and stronger way to actually turn around to the employees who we run to do what we need.
I know where you're coming from. They are kind of they're employed by the population to run things, aren't they? So interesting. I think it's like these ways of doing things and ways of not doing things. I'm not sure how I feel about. Well, I know how I feel about this. Have you seen this Insulate Britain protests? That have been going on recently about blocking the motorways.
Jail time if they do it again.
Well, it's the 9th to 10th time they've done it now. Yeah, they've done it like 10. They've been doing it literally every day this week again. Do you know, like and gluing themselves to the motorway and stuff and trying to. I mean, it was an offshoot of the Extinction Rebellion movement thing that was going on, and this is an Insulate Britain, and they want the government to basically insulate homes throughout the country as a way of protecting, and not wasting as much energy that's escaping from the homes, if you like. If you add it up, all the heat and energy that we use.
I think that's why our bills are going up, because it's going to be a force to actually. And you're going to have to do it yourself now.
The energy that we basically that just escapes is one thing, but it's the energy that we use and burn and fossil fuels we use to create that energy, and burning gases and stuff like that. So I mean, I know where they're coming from, but it's the way they're doing it is. It's not impacting the people they need to impact. They're impacting regular people going about the day, and that's
they need the help.
They've got there was one on the TV the other day where it was like the two cars that were at the front of the stop where you've got these people queued up or sat on the ground on the motorway, and the first two cars that pulled up at the picket were electric cars, And they were like, well, you're talking to the wrong people. We're doing our bit, I'm trying to get my daughter to school or a doctor's appointment or whatever, and you're holding me up, right?
Yeah, but they're trying to get us together so we turn around and say to the government, look, we've talked about this. You've agreed to this. You didn't do it on your last time because of this, that, and the other. You said you'd do it again. You brought it back again, and you keep leaving it back. When you need to spend that money. So there needs to be
a way of kind of getting these messages across in a way that's impactful, but doesn't, get you arrested or hurt anyone or, impact people that don't deserve the impact, if you like.
Yeah, but how can we deal with it if the government is not listening to, and they're talking environment thing, and this could help a hell of a lot. And yet they keep passing the buck to the next prime minister or the next one who comes in.
Of course, that's exactly what happens.
And we keep protesting about it, and nothing still happens. Then you've got to. I can see where they're coming from. And well, where do we go next then? Well, we've got to stop traffic.
No, because it's not a case of that we have a right to protest anymore. Because it's almost like we don't. Because it's if you want to protest in London, you need written permission. Yeah. There's certain areas that you can't protest it in without written permission.
Even in areas where you're legally allowed to.
Most assemblies get broken up. They get forced back. It gets to the point where, if it is a peaceful protest, then, they should be left to protest, and they should be able to get that point across, raise petitions, raise awareness, and
it's too easy to do what
they're doing. Yeah, but it's that kind of percentage of people who see a hoo-ha, big thing going on, yeah, and they use it to incite a bit of violence or, cause a bit of friction or problems, basically. And that's when it starts getting to the point where you've lost the message now, because now it's just turned into a fucking brawl.
Yeah, you started a fight
and then, a to and fro with the police. And it's like, well...
innocent people getting hurt in between as well.
People just go into that mob mentality then. Yeah. And it's like the people who were
that includes cops
but then
as well.
When it's advertised on the news why this started, because I remember the tuition fees going up and people were protesting about that, and then it turned into a 4-day riot across the country. And it wasn't the people, guarantee it wasn't the people who went to university or were protesting for that in the first place. But when it hits the news, it was sparked off because of this protest, and that gives the cause a bad name. Do you know what I mean? So it's a case of you've got to be able to, not...
There needs to be a system to be able to...
You need to be able to get your point across, but like in a peaceful way, really, isn't it? So,
but it's getting harder and harder, and every year everyone's getting frustrated because they're doing exactly what they said they wasn't going to do, or they're doing stuff against us, or we can't afford this, but you're bringing it on. I mean, look at like food banks and that. We should be trying to get rid of food banks and putting people back in houses and getting them jobs and making sure that, people paying into the system so can actually get a decent NHS, get decent dentists, get decent coppers on the road, get decent people in Parliament if we can do that, which is fucking hard enough job as it is.
Do you know, it's one of them, isn't it? We need investment. It's like
WTO, we're getting that. What is it?
They'll be like, what's it? These football clubs get bought up by international, billionaires. It'll be like come in and go, I'll buy America. I'll sort you out. I'll invest in America. Anyway,
well, America got bought in that way at the beginning, didn't it? Really, so.
Well, talking about like investments and stuff like that, like taking bankrupt. Properties and businesses and stuff like that, and giving it a bit of an overhaul. South Park creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker have moved to buy a bankrupt restaurant in the States, Casa Bonita. We don't have it here. I've heard of it. I've heard of it on South Park or like American shows. Casa Bonita or whatever. So I'm assuming it's like Mexican food potentially. Matt Stone and Trey Parker have moved to buy the restaurant for $3.1 million. I hope they turn it into like a South Park theme restaurant. I suppose
it's going on.
It's one of those. If they're going to do a South Park episode about it, which they probably will. Yeah, that's full on marketing for the restaurant, isn't it?
They'll probably do it so you'd have to go to the restaurant to see the ending of it or something like that. So it gives a marketing so people.
Well, it's a Colorado restaurant, so it is a Colorado sort of institution, if you like, and the South Park is based in South Park, Colorado. So I can only assume that's going to be the case, but the restaurant filed for bankruptcy, and a court basically said that the comedy duo have moved to purchase Casa Bonita. See what happens there. That's the sort of thing, isn't it? But obviously the buzz around Casa Bonita's future has been secured now.
Yes.
So
hopefully, because still isn't set in stone yet, but hopefully it will be.
Pretty good. I like it when people, you can see them doing well. Like Matt Stone and Trey Parker, they just look like a couple of normal guys, who hit on some really good success, and they were able to take what they love doing, making fart and poo jokes and being immature. And making a successful career out of it to a point where they're, investing in other businesses.
Riches, isn't it, kind of thing?
It's a total
potty mouth to millionaires.
Have you ever seen their film Basketball? Well, that's a similar thing because they were like, we want to create this sport which is, it doesn't sell off players to other, franchises. It's just a hometown sport and all the rest of it. But it ends up becoming really big, and all the rest of it. People start kind of wanting to invest money in it, and like sponsorships and all the rest of it.
And then it's the next
they're just
big
like
thing.
normal guys who were just wanted to keep it nice and simple. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. But, yeah.
Well, like you say, good luck to him. And I think that's it for the main news. I've got a bit of NASA news. We were talking about Biden going to the baseball before.
Yeah.
Oscar Mayer Wieners. He would have been, because you'd never heard of an Oscar Mayer Wiener. It's like Casa Bonita. No. It's an American thing that we don't have here.
I watch a lot of American stuff.
I've never heard of the Oscar Mayer Wiener.
No, I don't think so.
Like, the song.
Or it's just gone like out my head and gone like, nah. Well, I don't need to know that, do I? I'm not going to like go and have one.
Well, I might have to try and find somebody to send you some.
Oh, yeah, if you got one, well, yeah, I'll try one out.
Really? Just get someone to send you some Oscar Mayer
on air,
Wieners.
I'll have one, yeah.
I have one on air. I'll see if I can find them in the UK, yeah. But like NASA, but they've offered SpaceX their Oscar Mayer Wiener sausage mobile to transport astronauts.
What for?
Just for fun. We reported on the Oscar Mayer Wiener. He says he's never heard of it, but we did actually report the Oscar Mayer Wiener. Here's the advert, I think. Like, let's see if we can get the...
My baloney has a first name. It's O-S-C-A-R. My baloney has a second name. It's M-A-Y-E-R.
That's one of the Oscar Mayer comedian. Yeah. That's not the song, is it? That's not the song. This is the song, I think.
Can't hear it.
Class attention. Forward march.
What?
To be an Oscar Mayer
Wiener. That is what I truly love to be.
Cause if I were an
Come on, let me.
That's the one. This is the one I've heard on TV. Yeah, so it's everyone loves Oscar Mayer Wieners. That is what I truly love to be.
Yeah.
Because something like that, yeah. Anyway, I've just sang it. What do you want?
Well, I didn't hear it properly.
You'll hear it when you listen back then, won't you? Sorry.
Yeah, well.
Well, there you go. Oscar Mayer Wiener car. They want to supply the vehicle to shuttle the astronauts to the shuttle to the spaceship, so they can go off and adventure in space with a fond memory of driving around a Wiener car beforehand.
See, talking about space, the ISS.
Talking about space, it's vast.
More trouble than they really think it is.
Is it crashing?
Got a law on the place, at the minute. Yeah, because astronauts saying to NASA, you need to like go up and start doing stuff and sorting this out, because it's like I said,
because they've just splashed down, haven't they? Because there's been a crew up there, hasn't he, for a while, and they've just come back down to Earth. So there was a splashdown the other day, actually. So they're probably the guys who've made these reports then, aren't they?
Yeah, they would have made reports and tried to fix certain systems, I should imagine, because they need to keep it there as long as possible. But it looks like they're going to have to find a newer and cheaper new system to go up. They're going to have to start making another station, because America don't want to be the last one. Mind you, it's the last thing on their mind at the minute, realistically, with what's going on. But they need to get it together and get a space station going back up there.
I know, yeah, because it's old as fuck, isn't it, now? I mean, and now Russia have been taking bits off it as well, haven't they?
Yeah, Russia's took their part. China's got one going around. No doubt, I believe Israel's trying to do it as well. I know Japan's been trying to do it for years. So we've going to have some major competition up there pretty soon. I'd say in the next 5 years there's going to be some... there's going to be a couple of stations, I hope.
Well, NASA are actually pausing their Mars mission at the moment. They're planning on putting a pause on it for a couple of weeks.
Oh, system error or something found?
Probably. I mean, they basically said the pause in it. The pause will affect the 6 Mars missions, including the Perseverance rover. Early Earth to Mars orbiting. and basically they want to go to opposite sides of the sun, something that's not happened for about 2 years. So they've got a couple of missions, but I'm not sure why they've decided. So they've got a couple of things. So they've got probes going up, but they'll be completely cut off. So any of the machines that are on Mars will enter a go slow mode, which means that they will not be able to send any signals. So I'm assuming this is because Mars is going out of range. It's going to go behind the sun and not be able to send any signals from where it is. So we won't get the signals. We won't be able to send signals between Earth and Mars because, like I say, it's going to be passing through the sun's hot atmosphere, and they can only scramble and confuse the robots on Mars. So
we're going to have to start throwing some satellites around the sun so we can actually go to the opposite side to the sun. So
it'd be a good idea, that, actually, wouldn't it? Placing strategic satellites throughout the universe. Because, I mean, obviously, if we're going that way anyway, we may as well throw out a satellite. You know, if we're going to Mars,
even closer to it, you know what I mean? We're getting closer and closer to it and watching the sun, but we could do with when we need signals around the sun, because it is fucking, well, it's ginormous, isn't it?
It's big. Yeah.
We're like a pinprick.
So,
we are so tiny.
You remember there was a bit of controversy behind the James Webb Telescope?
Yeah.
He was basically saying that people wanted it renaming because it was offensive.
Yes, I believe the gay community writ a notice to him.
That's right. Well, apparently, the James Webb Telescope will not be renamed.
Yeah, they're keeping it as it is, aren't they? They're not bothering with it, which is fair enough, to be honest.
So they've said, despite the controversy, the James Webb Telescope will remain the James Webb Telescope. I don't know. I think we did talk about it a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? About the controversy, but I mean. It's not...
Yeah, I can see where they're coming from, but at the end of the day, you won't be able to do anything from the people from the past, because from the past, generations.
Yeah, that's
change,
it. You've just got to kind of take those attitudes forward, and like, you know, it's a lesson of the past, not to do it in the future. And like, I think we've talked about it where we say, in the future, if we start erasing this history, as shameful acts, then how the future generations learn from it, and mistakes, go, if they don't see anything wrong because there's no evidence of it, then maybe they're going to persist in a way that's not in line with what we believe now. Do you know what I mean? So we need that history in place so people understand where we came from, and mistakes we made not to be repeated. So
we might not be allowed to say poo. We might be saying something wrong there now, and like in 1,000 years' time, like,
you're not allowed to say poo.
You're not allowed to say that. That's fucking well out of order. Oh yeah, you just said fucking well out of order, didn't you?
So so that's me. That's me with my news. Have you got anything else?
You? Yeah, I've got two. I've got the big red spot of Jupiter.
Okay.
Well, they've just collated some data together from 2009 to 2020. And it seems, they don't know why, but it seems to be going faster by about 8%.
Right,
it's getting faster every year. And it's fucking like over, 300 miles an hour, some shit like that at the moment. Some shit like that. But it's really, really fast.
Something like that.
But it went small a couple of years ago. It went smaller.
Yeah, it does change shape, because it's a storm, isn't it? Because it's a massive storm, the eye. Storm, and that to when you see kind of like the Weather Channel, and you've got those big swirls. I always see that eye as a massive storm that was raging on a planet that we'd never get to, but it's been like going for however many years. It must be like, amazing to see. But I think it changes size and shape and colour because of the sort of the degree of the force of the storm at the time, I suppose, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and like it's one of them places where
damn nature, you scary.
It could, because it's going faster. That could be actually creating effects on our planet, because it will be affecting like the parts of the solar system. Because don't forget, that is our major protector from meteorites hitting us.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is, isn't it?
1996.
So we could be getting an impact on a daily basis, and then.
Well, I think it might actually have. It might be what's causing the eruptions at the minute in these volcanoes, and that it could be it's something like that.
You see, again, what was we talking about last night? I think with the amount of kind of drilling that the Earth's undergone. I mean, what was it? We were, since like. So let's say the last 100 years. Say the last 120 years, we've been, excavating from small mines to big tunnels, underground systems, fucking all sorts. Yeah, we've mined stupidly large quarries to produce fucking slate and all types of rock and minerals. We've drilled. We've fucking tunneled. We've done everything, right? The Earth at this point is a bit Swiss cheese. Do you know what I mean? I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think it's a bit weird that like all these we're having such activity all at once.
And the noises haven't gone away either.
And then again, it's like, I mean, we go on about climate change, but can you actually attribute all this sort of like, Earth shifting movement and kind of plates moving, earthquakes and volcanoes down to climate change?
I do put it down to.
How do you explain that? I mean, I understand global warming and heating, but could all this magma rising to the surface all over the place not contribute to the heating up of the planet?
Filling up the holes, isn't she? All the holes that we've been making, she's fucking filling it.
If you know the answers, let us know. Yeah. Reach out, get in touch.
Well,
if you have any questions or comments or suggestions.
We have got a massive fucking asteroid coming through our solar system soon, and we'll be
able to see this one, aren't we? We'll be able to see this one, surely.
Yes, because it was mistaken as a dwarf planet, which is like the size of Pluto.
Fuck off. Is it that big?
No, serious. It's that big, yeah. And it's the biggest one we've ever seen.
And it's coming through our neck of the woods.
It's coming through our neck of the woods, and you reckon it could pass nearer to Neptune or even Saturn, but they don't reckon that is going to affect us. But I don't agree with that, and the reason why is because it's a
ballet up there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's like it's very kind of fragile. I think and it all depends on where everything else is, and I think when we talk about like us being here and life and how the Goldilocks zone and everything being where we need to be, I think the rest of the planets being where they are have an effect on us for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's in a clockwork, but it shouldn't be a clockwork because it should be messed up, but it's not. It's in a clockwork, and that's
plus all your star signs will fucking go out of whack. Do you know what I mean? We don't need that. It's like all of a sudden you're a fucking Sagittarius when you were somewhere else.
No!
It's like no, my life's been a lie.
No.
So, So what do you think is going to happen then, and when do you think that's going to arrive?
Well, it's in the void at the minute, but it's on its way through, and you reckon within the next, between 2 and 5 years, it'd be coming through. It depends on the speed of it, to be honest.
It's very speedy.
To me, could it be it could be a thing out the way that we can actually see outside the void to
Planet
other
X?
Things to see if Planet X is out there.
Oh, right.
There is still other places out there that there's gravity moving, but we still haven't pinpoint what the fuck it is. You know what I mean? It's hard.
It could be. We never know. Past the observable universe, and beyond.
Gods are coming back.
Fucking hell! Something's got to happen for the positive, hasn't it? I mean, it's
we're in the rapture, so
it feels like it, doesn't it? Rapture Watch. We'll be back with Rapture Watch next week.
I'll watch that in a minute.
Well, I think that's the end of the show. I'm starting to get a scratchy throat. And I need a coffee.
My mouth's like Gandhi's flip-flop.
Gandhi's flip-flop. So, like I say, if you've got any questions, comments, or suggestions, and you want to get in touch with us here at the Never a Straight Answer podcast, you can do that by sending us an email at neverstraightanswer@gmail.com, hitting us up at the website where there's a contact box. You can go over to social media at Twitter at NASA_never, or Instagram, where we post regular photographs and stuff there. We're available on all podcast platforms, so wherever you get your podcast, go over and subscribe. We're back weekly with random topics and chat. So if you know anyone who might be interested in the show, definitely send them our way.
Sign them our way.
And like I say, if you've got anything you want to add or anything you kind of know about the topic in particular we've talked about, you feel free to comment and send us a message.
Had some good emails already on some of the subjects.
We chat to some people all the time on it. I think I was thinking about getting a subreddit or something, for the show, so people can kind of put their opinions across, leave us ideas for topic ideas, strange videos or whatever you want. Do you know what I mean? If you think that's a good idea, you want me to do that, let me know. Also. Thank you to everybody who voted for us in the Paranormality podcast award. We've not found out yet, but voting's closed.
Hopefully we've won, and
we'll let you know how that goes on. So that I'm sure that'll happen in the future. That's the end of the show. Anyway. I'm going to go and relax and eat cake. And
eat cake.
I've got myself a little cake from a
get a little party out on.
Get me a little birthday cake going.
Get a little balloon.
And that's it. We'll be back next week. So make sure you stick that in your subscription list, in your playlist, all that. So, and that's us. I've been Gaz.
I've been Taylor.
We've been Never Straight Answer podcast. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Outer space.
Roger.